My name is Antoine Zwick. I work for Xerox in Vancouver as a solutions consultant. And in this quick video, I want to share with you what are the resources to learn how to design for metallics and also for white and clear on the new Iridesse press, which to some degree could also apply to the color press as well. So to start with, let's take a quick look. So that's the Iridesse press. It's fairly a large machine and it has 6 toners up there. So let's look at them for a quick moment. The first guide is called the CMYK Design and File Preparation Guidelines, and that's 78 pages, which is a good read. Recommend you go over it if you want to learn quickly all the possible options or so. And the 6 toners here can be duplicated. So you could have gold, silver, or white in both the underlay here and the overlay at the right side. However, clear can only be on top, so it can only be the overlay. You can have that clear here and on the underlay as well. So clear, remember that, only on top. It's a spot varnish essentially, but the gold, silver, and white can be doubled up or can be in any location you want. So when you design for metallics and for special effects like this, it's good to look at something hands-on. So I went up and I went to here where I got a few cards for $7 out of my own money, and they were worth it. They're quite nice. They're in Illustrator mostly, and I had to import them into InDesign. Being a non-designer, I found that it was actually easier than I thought it would be, and I will allow you to cringe at my design at this point. So as you can see here, we have in this case silver and gold in this card. So it's important to know that the layers that you see here match what you have in the press, right? So if you remember, our design has gold and or silver, and these can be swapped around. In my case, when I printed that card, I had gold as the overlay, so here, and I had silver as the underlay. So in this design, because we want silver at the bottom, I did put my silver layer here at the bottom, and gold is on top. So if we look at it from this perspective, I see that silver is here. This shouldn't be there. I have my CMYK, and finally my gold. And this is very simple, silver and gold, yet again. So when you design swatches, the easy way, if you want, is that you have at least to have a spot or two. In this case, the system is built in around gold, clear, white, and silver, named like these. You could have it differently. You could have your clear with a lowercase c, you could call it spot varnish, doesn't really matter. We can add that in the firing. The important thing is that you have those spots well defined, and that you assign them to objects. So if I click on an object here, that's my silver blue mixed ink, and here that's just my gold. So mixed ink, that's a new topic. We are basically designing a spot that is made up of silver and of CMY. So to do that, you first have to have a spot. If you start out to clear a document that has no spot, you won't have the option here that's going to be grayed out. So you add a spot, and then you'll see this new mixed in swatch, and then you can go and do something like this. We recommend you don't introduce black because it darkens too much, and also it takes away the shine. Remember, we're talking about metallics. We want it to be shiny. So the lower the amount of toner, the more silver you would have in comparison, the shinier it will look. The toner is not shiny, so it will block the shininess, the sparkle of your metallic color. So usually we recommend that you don't go into too high concentration, and you would get something like this, and that would be pretty shiny. And if you notice, I do have this background that it says gradation, and that background is a gradation of mixed ink. So that can be done as well. Now, if I look at the Christmas tree here, you'll notice I knocked it out. This is because I want no toner underneath this. I want only on the paper, I only want the gold because it will be as shiny as possible. Not that the CMY underneath would dull it, but I just want it to be as gold as possible, so I knock it out. In this case here for the pattern, I could have made it out of normal CMYK and made a background of silver and made the pattern have a multiply option so that it becomes sort of transparent and blends in. And these, in a nutshell, are the basic options that you can work with. Now, of course, you can have a lot more creativity than I do, being a designer, and you could go in Illustrator and create graphic styles, so create your own patterns upon which you could have, gradations of mixed inks, which would look quite stunning, as some of our samples do have. Or you could explore simply shades of gold. So in this case, one of my customers wanted to know, can I change the gold? And I said, of course. So you'll see that in this case, it's 60% gold in increments of 3%. And what I remember was that we settled for 60% gold and 50% yellow as a very yellowish and yet very shiny gold, which worked out great. To do this, we went in, created a gold spot, and then we did a mixed ink group wherein we told InDesign, well, starts with 60% and increment in 10 times, so to go from 0 to 100%. And that gave me a whole bunch of swatches that I could then use here to design. So as you see, it's not that hard, it's not rocket science at all. You just have to remember to order your layers appropriately and have the correct spots, export with your layers, and you're done. In this example here, I was designing for black paper, so I made the paper, the sheet, black, on which I add a white primer. On top would be silver, CMYK, and I could go for a second pass through the press and do some gold and some clear. In this case, I made the clear 0000. The reason why is that if you print this PDF on a smaller device with no extra colorants, it will still print. If I was to design this as something like this, then though on screen it might look more appropriate, it would still print on a smaller device with black toner, and I don't want that. I want the spot to be used only when I tell it to, and have the PDF shareable then. So that's why I made it 0000. If we look at another sample, so maybe this one. So this is a swatch book we provide, and you can of course design your own, but you'll see that they are all made of mixed inks. So all of them are designed with mixed ink, and if we look at a certain one, you'll notice in this case it's 60% gold, as you see here, with lots of cyan. And these were all created, I believe, with this option of a new mixed ink group. You could of course rejig this into a Pantone looking book for your own purposes. Okay, and if I show you a sample of a PDF, oh, first let's look at the export. So when you do an export, I have my own preset here. Then remember to create Acrobat layers. Make your compatibility a bit higher, because if you choose Acrobat 5 you won't have layering, or a 4. So go for Acrobat 8, make your layers here, and we recommend don't color convert, don't assign your profiles to your images. Sure, the press will work with that, but don't color convert to CMYK. There's no real need. I know it's a point of contention, but I would wager a delicious beverage on this. And that's about it. The important part is that you have your layers here. So once that's done, you can export your PDF, and you will see that in your PDF you will have your layers here. So in this case, this background here is a pure silver, and what they did is that they did the silver at the bottom. On top they did CMY, and they multiplied that top to the bottom. So that's why you see this silverish pink purple color. Finally, if you are of a larger organization or you need to get up and running fast, ColorLogic is a partner of us that has packaged a incredibly large amount of information. So there's a software to preview it, a whole bunch of swatches, special effects that they provide already built in, ready to use. They've optimized and did the research on which looks better, and they have all kinds of effects you can work with. A good designer can, of course, recreate pretty much all of that by themselves. But if you need to get up to speed fast and you have the budget for it, ColorLogic is a great value-add partner. If you had a lot of work to be done, you could probably recoup your money quite quickly by going with them. So here's another example, and in this case it was gold and silver. So you'll see that we have gold here and silver there, and together we have this pattern here. So to recap, when you design, start by looking at the design guide, which we can provide, and then in Design Illustrator, ensure that you have your layers well set up for your design. Remember that clear can only be on top, and remember to make your clear multiply so that it doesn't so that it mixes in properly with the background, and your white most likely will be at the bottom or at the top, it doesn't matter, but silver, white and gold can be anywhere. Clear must be at the top. Okay, that's a lot. Thank you for your time, and talk to you soon. So if you're given a PDF that doesn't have anything but CMYK inside, you can still do things with it in terms of adding clear and other effects. One of the things we can do is right-click on a job and go to the Image Enhance Visual Editor. Now this tool will display and work with PDF files that have images inside them, hence the name Image Enhance Visual Editor. You'll see that for each page of the PDF, you see all the image in the page. So if we look at, let's say, this image here, say that you wanted to add some special effects, some clear to it. So we could turn this on, special effects layer, and if we decided to work with one of these, we could maybe do an emboss. So if ever you've seen this, you'll know that in the way they're designed is that they do 75 here and 50 there, emboss, and this gives you roughly how it looks like. You could do it different ways though. Say that you wanted to do only the boat, only the cruise ship, I mean, with clear. You could perhaps go with hue select, and then using the hue, you could figure out where the best place is with this. Maybe something like this. And so now I have the tree and the ship, which would work pretty well. It would be a nice effect to run. 7 passive clear would make it quite nice. So each of them can have different hues. So highlight select will do something similar. We turn that on. We use emboss. So in this case, these don't really work well. I would still go with emboss, because emboss does what I want for it. And I would feel the bumps on the lizard if I write multiple passes. So you see there's things you can do with Image Enhanced Visual Editor, and you can save those as a preset and then apply it to everything. So you can reuse them easily. It's pretty fast to do. So that's one good method of working. In the file itself, in this case, I could choose to apply clear drying, and this would be a different way of working. So now imagine I did not use the Image Enhanced Visual Editor to make bumps on the lizard, for example. I could say apply clear on anything that has a spot color or any images, any graphics. So this can be very useful. Sometimes you want the logo, for example, to have clear over it. So you add it to spot, and then your logo, which may be a spot color, will have clear as well. You could say apply it, flood the paper that has no ink on it. So use blank carry output, clear only when there's paper only, note only. You could flood the entire page, do a kind of spot varnish for full page. And you can set your limits. Usually leave that as 100%. And in the underlay, that's where you can choose many things. In this case, gold and silver. Mine will soon have white as well. So I could choose one of those three eventually. And so if I use silver drying, I could say any spot color that's called silver, or anything that I define in the Fiery that means silver. For example, if I call it a silver varnish, and I add that in the Fiery, then I could use that here. And the rest is the same options.